Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, and those streaming live through free TuneIn Radio app and through iHeartRadio. You're listening to Precious Connections, and I'm your host, Elena McClendon. I can be reached by email at forpreciousconnections@gmail.com, or you can feel free to call me. My number is area code 202-421-3161. I can also be reached by Instagram. My username on Instagram is @vacationsarennice because I love to go on vacation all the time. And my Facebook page is under Elena McClendon. Now, there are several Elena McClendons, so mine is the profile picture of myself, and my signature are my pearls. I like to wear pearls. So you will see my picture with pearls. That is the true Elena McClendon. So follow me. Also contact me. If you're listening to this show, please reach out to me, whether it's by call or Instagram, Facebook. Email me. Let me know that you are listening so that I know that you were listening, and let me know your thoughts, please. But today I have a special guest. His name is Todd Malloy, and I get excited every time I interview him because, talk to him because he is a sex therapist. So, by me being a young lady, that is definitely a nice topic that I would like more information about. So, when I met Mr. Malloy, and he told me that he's a professional relational sex therapist, I asked him to please be a guest on my show so that he can inform my listeners on what sex therapy is, and not the street term on what we think it is, but the professional way of knowing what sex is all about and sex therapy.
Thank you.
Mr. Malloy, welcome.
Thank you.
To the Precious Connection Show. And if you would like to go ahead and talk about your expertise.
Okay, well, I am, by license, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in the state of North Carolina, certified sex therapist, ASEX certified sex therapist, and sexuality educator. I'm also on the teaching staff of the University of Michigan Sexual Health Certificate Program, which is a postgraduate doctoral program.
It's okay.
University of Michigan Sexual Health Certificate Program, which is a postdoctorate, postgraduate study program for those looking for advanced studies in sexuality and sexuality education, and sexuality counseling. Again, I've been there for the last 5 years. I also produced in 2017, produced an online show called Man Cave Conversations, where we talk about manhood, sex, sexuality, intimacy, and beyond, and also it allows women to get a bird's eye view of what men talk about when men are together. You know, when men are together, we don't have to posture.
Right.
You know, we all recognize there's somebody in all of us. We all, I often say and laugh that every man has a diva, whether he wants to say it out loud or not.
Okay.
But I've been around men my whole life, so
yes.
So there are things that we can talk about when we're together because we all know.
Right.
As opposed to if a woman's around or someone that's around, where we have to have the bravado and all of these different things. So we record the show, allow everybody to see. So my hope and trust is that it begins to stimulate real conversation between partners, husbands and wives, even just men, to really talk about the things that we're impacted with. So in addition to that, I am also the co-author of Time to Rise, which is a book about personal and professional development, self-development. And I am on the incoming board of directors of the American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. So I keep busy, I keep active, and again, I enjoy what I do.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you do.
Thank you.
And I can see it. So I want my listeners to know that I can see the passion coming out of Mr. Malloy when he talks about what he does. So, Mr. Malloy, I have a question as far as when would someone know that they need to come and talk to you?
Well, therapeutically, at which point what you're going through begins to impact you personally, professionally, or academically. So at which point there are stressors in your life that are starting to show up. I'm at work and now my mind is here. I'm at church, even though whatever's going on, my mind is here. At a social event, my mind is somewhere else. I'm not present where I am. Identify that there's a distress. Oftentimes I share with clients as is hard enough just being successful, trying to do the things you need to do. So we tend to have a tendency to take the extra and put it in a closet, tuck it under the carpet. But after a while, the door starts to rattle, you trip over the carpet, they end up in a room with me. And my responsibility is to partner with them to go to the door, to pull up the carpet, process through that information that they come into their most empowered selves, so that they can make the healthiest choices and decisions for them. At which point, there are things showing up in your life that hinders your ability to truly pursue, achieve the things that you want. I would encourage people to reach out to me or any one of my other colleagues that are in the wellness and mental health industry.
Yes. And so, as far as a married couple, if they're going through issues as
Right.
well, it may not be infidelity. It could be.
Oh, no, it's not always. As a sex therapist, I want to be very clear. It's not just about teaching people how to come together and take their clothes off.
Okay.
The truth is, sex and sexuality changes over the span of life. So how I felt, first we go from an unawareness form of sexuality to making choices and decisions into relationships. Now we get older, hormonal changes, gravity comes in, we get sick, we get cancers, prostate cancer, cervical cancer, we get breast cancer, we get all of these different things that impact our lives. And with intimacy being neck up and not waist down, as our life is impacted, as hormonal balances are happening, imbalances are happening, they all have an impact on how we express ourselves in an intimate and sexual basis. So again, I educate people on the span of sexuality across the lifespan, such that now, for example, I had a couple that was together for 10, 15 years. Husband is now 45, between 45 and 50. She comes out of the shower dripping wet, and he doesn't instantly have an erection. She thought that he was rejecting her. No, it's not that. It's that because after the age of 30, a man's testosterone level drops 1% every year on average.
Oh, wow.
So, what it is that he's not aroused, not because he doesn't want you. Physically, his body does not respond to you the same way. It has nothing to do with you. It has a lot to do with him. Unfortunately, a lot of men don't understand this. So now he said, well, if you would just do something different or whatever, he's not sharing that, hey, I'm having a challenge with my own body. You can't be that vulnerable.
Right.
Says society. So I'm not being as fully transparent and willing to be vulnerable with you. So she starts to think it's her. Then she calls my office and she says, well, there's something wrong with our intimacy. He doesn't really want to come, but whatever. But then she drags him in, and we begin to dispel myth and talk truth about what's going on in life. And he begins to learn how to communicate with his wife more transparent, or vice versa. Women come across vaginal atrophy and vaginal dryness over time, and postmenopausal. They may have, women have had mastectomies, and what that means to their sexuality, what that means to their femininity, and understanding how that impact is relational. So there are a lot of reasons, and sometimes you just become bored with each other over years. And after a while, hey, we've been together 20, 25 years, been there, done that.
Right. A lot of guys say that, ladies too.
However, but the question is, why are you not exploring?
Right.
Why have you not recognized, even though we've been together that period of time, every day everybody's changing because we're always impacted by what's going on in our lives on a day-to-day basis. Why are you not sharing? Why are you not growing? Why are you not taught to have intertwined lives? Because remember, we're not taught how to be in intimate relationships. We're taught how to be a professional.
Right.
We're taught how to go to school. But when it comes to the intimate relationships, we're not taught. My perspective is this. That everybody is traumatized, not because we grew up in a war-torn country, but by the very design of how we're raised as a system.
Right.
When you're a kid, you're supposed to be seen and not heard.
Right.
When you get a little older, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Right.
Then when you get a little older and you get a job and you think you can really say some stuff, if you say what you really want to say, your socioeconomic situation will be impacted and you will be unemployed.
Exactly.
So at what point does it say that it's okay to use your voice. It's okay to connect to you, share your voice, and when you share your voice, there will be an environmental shift or change. To some degree, my perspective is if you're taught to go along to get along, whether conscious or subconscious. Basically, I have to go along with the program. Remember, even in marketing, they have the bandwagon approach. Hey, everybody else is doing this, so it must be right for me. Well, no, it's not right for you. What is your truth? What is your voice, inner voice saying to you? And then how do you move in that truth? But then how do you learn, in a society that doesn't teach it, to be empowered to use your voice? Why? Now, by nature, we're designed to be relational. Why do I say that? Because there's such thing called attachment theory that basically teaches that everybody wants to know that they fit, belong, that they're wanted, desired, and valued.
Right.
Now, why do we, again, there's an academic way of saying it, but then I say it the simple way, which probably annoys most of my academic colleagues. The simplest way that I explain it to my clients and people I come across is I say, well, are you familiar with how a baby's born? And they typically say yes. I said, well, at which point the baby's born, the mean nurse and the mean doctor, I apologize to y'all, but I do say mean doctor and mean nurse, make your baby cry. But then when the baby cries, they give it to mama. Mama
Right.
cradles baby. Baby stops crying. That's not trained. You can't train that. Baby's brand new. Hasn't been trained. It's innate. It's wired in our DNA to be relational, to know that we fit and belong. However, as I shared earlier, our society doesn't teach us to be relational. They teach us to go along to get along. So you have a blind person connecting to a blind person that want to offer each other something different than what we've had before.
Yes.
But now you got a blind person leading a blind person going somewhere neither one of you have been,
Right.
and not sure about the tools, skills, and abilities that you have to get there.
Right.
I.e., then someone like who's a relationship therapist, sex therapist, comes into play to highlight the tools, the skills, and abilities that they have so that they can achieve the goals that they want to achieve.
So let me ask you, a wife that feel rejected because her husband is not pouncing on her as soon as she comes out of the shower. What if he does not agree to go to a sex therapist? How does she get him to even go to a sex therapist? What can she say?
First and foremost, I don't know if there's anything to say. If there's anything specific that can be said. First of all, for this process, the therapeutic process to work, they both have to want to. However, what I would encourage is that you share about value. This is about valuing our relationship. I value you, I want a long-term relationship, but there's something that's coming between us that I don't want, that's going to erode us over time. So I'm hoping you value me enough because I value you enough to get the help we need to be successful, not just for today, but 10 years from now.
Right.
Because I can't live like this forever, and I know you don't want to.
Right.
So what are we
right.
going to do? Can we invest in ourselves enough, value ourselves enough to get some help so we can really have the experiences we want to have? Because now it's no longer just about sex. It's about our relationship. It's about our long term. It's about what our everlasting is going to look like and a quality of life. Intimacy and sex is a quality of life issue, not just bump and grind.
That's so true. That's so true, and a lot of Americans does not know about that. That it's not about just bumping and grinding, because some of the music that we listen to, we think that, because a lot of my kids were conceived off of R. Kelly, Well,
Right, no,
So,
but
and-
too oftentimes we get information no different than a lot of faith-based people. You get a lot of information off TV or what the cousin said, what these people say, but you're not actually reading, doing the homework, finding learned sources to rather glean truth as opposed to, because erections aren't 4 hours. If erection was a 4-hour erection, it would cause the cells in your penis to die
that would be detrimental.
because blood is to be circulated.
Yes.
When blood stops circulating, cells die. So I know TV and the Viagra commercials say 4 hours, but that's unrealistic.
Yeah, that's a very long time. Well, Mr. Malloy, I would love for you to come back to my show again. Would you like to come back and inform our listeners again more about sex therapy later?
Oh, most definitely. I'd
Because
appreciate the
I
opportunity.
really would love for you to come back. Please tell us your contact information before our show ends.
Well, I can be reached at my website, which is InnerPeaceCounselingCenter.com. You can find it under Inner Peace Counseling Center on Facebook. I think Twitter also, yeah. Okay. Twitter also. I can also be reached at my office at 704-937-2286.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I'm asking our listeners to please contact Mr. Malloy. And you are listening to WDRV, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Elena McClendon. You're listening to Precious Connections. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.